Welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, where we uncover the powerful truth about your beginnings and how they've shaped your entire life. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and in this show, we are not just exploring your birth, we are dismantling the chains of generational trauma. We're diving into the core of who you are, peeling back layers of inherited beliefs and behaviors that have held you back for far too long. This isn't just about understanding your past. It is about reclaiming your future. Get ready to break free. This is Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, and your transformation starts now. Hi, Shannon O'Flaherty here. Thank you all for joining us on today's episode of Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance. And today's show is all about how we are connected to the animal kingdom all of the time. And why are we not listening? My beautiful guest, Lorena, shares fascinating examples of animal communication and how we can tune in and use it to help ourselves as well as our animals heal. And today we are thrilled to welcome a truly gifted healer and spiritual guide to the show, Lorena Granata. And Lorena is an energy healer, medium, and animal communicator with over 20 years of experience in intuitive healing, bodywork, and spiritual connection. With a profound shamanic apprenticeship under Duncan Wordley, founder of Dancing Wolf Initiative. From India to Thailand, Lorena then trained in massage therapies, including Ayurvedic, Indian head massage, and traditional Thai massage, combining the ancient with the intuitive. She also provided hands-on care for spinal injury clients, deepening her sensitivity to the body's innate capacity to heal. A certified Theta healing instructor, Lorena taught and practiced energy clearing and belief transformation for nearly a decade, and her gifts continued to evolve as she answered the call to communicate with animals and later embraced her work as a medium, bringing messages of healing and love from both the animal and spirit realms. Whether she's guiding a soul back to balance or bridging worlds with compassion and clarity, Lorena helps people align with their highest selves. Her work is as grounded as it is mystical, and I'm so honored to have you here with me today, Lorena. Welcome.
Thank you. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you.
Wow. And I'm so happy to have you here. Lorena is a dear friend of mine, and we met in India 100 years ago on a Theta healing class. And I remember when you were opening up to the whole animal communication thing. Absolutely fascinating. So, what got you communicating telepathically with animals?
Okay, well, thank you, Shannon. Thank you. I've been thinking a lot about this because I'm beginning to really understand that the sooner we take the mysticism out of this subject, the better, really.
Mhm.
I'm now completely get it that most of us are telepathic, if not everyone is telepathic.
I agree.
And that word telepathy, it kind of makes people sit back and go, oh, no, I'm not telepathic. But we are every day in many, many ways. And now at this time in the world, we're beginning to see more and more people stepping into their psychic self, their higher self, their spiritual self, more and more healers are stepping forward, energy healers. Who are these people? What are they working with? They're working with telepathy. You and I have been doing this with Theta healing. Well, I trained in 2009. I don't know when you trained, but
2002 or 4 or something early.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what have you been doing when you're with a client? When we're with I'm not talking about animals right now, just talking about people. When we're with a client, and we relax our body, we relax our mind, and we just clear ourselves and we get out of our way, of ourself, our way, and open a space to be able to read that person's psyche, that person's body, that person's subconscious mind, and receive messages. What are we actually doing if it's not telepathy?
Yeah.
Because telepathy is just a non-verbal way of communicating,
It
where
really
we
is
get,
almost, sorry to interrupt you. It really is almost like our higher selves jumping in to help us get out of our own way of not believing what we're seeing or receiving or tapping into. Certainly when I'm working with clients, once I could stop questioning all the information I was receiving, it was easier to just go, well, it's not my stuff, so it must be theirs, right?
yes, yeah,
Huh.
exactly, yeah. Exactly. So when I'm working with a person or with an animal and I get a message, I know it's not my thoughts.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't think that. It's not my belief. That picture, where did that image come from? And I stopped questioning it a long time ago. I just accept it as it is. And I will say what I see, what I hear, without fear of being wrong
So
or being
how
ridiculous
did you move from people to
to
animals?
animals.
When did
Yeah.
the animals start to go, Lorena?
Yeah. I know, I know. Um, so I'm just going to hold one thought there, which I'll come back to in a moment and give
Okay.
you something else. So the first time someone, it was a lady actually, who came to a theta healing introduction workshop in London. And she came to me at the end and she said, I think you can help my parrot. And I'm like,
Oh,
what? I've just been
that's not a
talking
person.
about spent the last few hours talking about theta healing and helping each people. But for some reason, she got a message in her mind that somehow I would be able to help her parrot. And I thought, well, I can't do that. How can I help parrots? I've never even met a parrot at that point, never even met
Well,
one. So I just,
parrots at least talk, right? So
yeah.
could the parrot actually tell you verbally what was wrong? Lorena.
So I only agreed to see this parrot because she asked to do a session with me
Hmm.
herself. So I
Hmm.
said, okay, I'm going to do a session with you. Then, I'll see your Paris. That's the only reason why I said, yeah, okay. So we did do a session together because my mind was thinking, when we work on the mother to help the child,
Hmm. It's the same. It's the same thing.
I thought at that point, I was thinking that if I help her, it will help the parrot. At that point, I was thinking. And then the day came and she brought me the parrot and said that the parrot's problem was just finding it difficult to breathe. And she didn't know why. And she'd taken the parrot to the vet and they couldn't understand why this parrot was suffering because it couldn't breathe properly. Okay, so we did an hour's session together and then it was the parrot's turn. What am I going to do here? So I thought,
Right.
all I can do is exactly what I do with people. I'll just read the parrot. And that's what I did. So I just read the parrot and asked because when I work with people, I will often, even no matter what they've said they've come for, I've got a pain in my back or I've got a problem with my husband, whatever the problem is, my first question in my mind is always, what's the most important issue here? And
Mhm.
the first thing that comes to mind is probably nothing like what they've been talking about, but it is the underlying issue. So that's
That's a
what I
really
asked.
that's a really important point there, actually, because and also as we well know with healing, often the block isn't what the people think it is. Sometimes it's not even like obviously related at all. It could be something
Exactly.
completely otherwise. When you were just telling me that, I've heard most of your stories. But that reminds me when I was living in Spain and was a brand new healer and was working with somebody, and she asked, completely forgot about this until now. She said, "Can you help this cat? Because this cat never purrs." And I was like, "A cat?" I'm like, okay. And I worked very heavily with the chakra system there. And I was like, I haven't the first idea about the chakra system of a cat. Had I even taken theta healing at that time? I think I had maybe been trained, but I was brand new. And often you're just kind of winging it when you don't know, but intention is really, really important in this. And my
Well, that's
intention was to heal the cat with whatever it was that was upsetting her or blocking her. I don't know what I did, laid my hands on the cat, thought good thoughts or whatever. I don't think I was even as right in there with reading the cat like you did with the parrot, but the cat did purr. So, and I remember thinking, wow, that's amazing. But then I completely never thought
forgot.
about that again until now.
Yeah,
Whereas you went on to develop relationships with many animals.
yeah, yeah. So I asked the parrot, what's the problem here? Why are you finding it difficult to breathe? What's wrong? And the parrot wasn't even in the same room as me. The parrot
Okay.
was in the next room in its cage because I didn't want to upset the parrot. I just stayed where I was with his owner in the same room, but the parrot was next door. But that works. You just take, what are we doing telepathically? We are working even at a distance, connecting with the parrot and asking, what's the problem? And I heard, because I do get messages like that here, clairaudient, I do
Mhm.
hear things. And I heard these words, and it was in a very high pitched voice, which is, I'm going to,
Mhm.
I know you
Your impression of a parrot.
get what your viewers are going to think of this, but I heard, it's the central heating, just like that. It's the central heating.
Wow. Did the
Honestly,
parrot actually say in the other
no,
room, it's the
no,
central heat? No.
no, it was in my head.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't, no, it was definitely in my head. So I said to the owner, well, the parrot says it's the central heating. And she said, oh my goodness, yes. Because a few weeks earlier, she'd moved the parrot's cage from the conservatory, taking it through to the lounge to put it by the window so it wasn't so bored. So it would have something to watch all day through the window. And she'd noticed that he was shaking and thought he was cold. So she kept putting the heating up, and this
Okay.
little thing couldn't breathe.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
But even
they
at that point, I didn't suddenly think, I'm an animal
no,
communicator.
no, it doesn't just it's the last thing that's occurring to you. But it's really fascinating. So my viewing, our viewing audience and listening audience might be wondering, why on earth is Shannon interviewing an animal communicator on a show about beyond birth trauma? And this is
Yes.
because like parents are very attached to their children and are they're in each other's energy fields all of the time. We are also very connected to our fur babies, our feathered babies, or whatever our creatures are. And our creatures are very much in tune with what's going on with us humans. And oftentimes, our creatures will take on the same issues that we have. And we might be in denial about it. Just please interrupt me if I'm going off piece here, Lorena, and correct me if I say something wrong. But we might be not very aware of what's going on, but we are in tune. We know something's wrong with our animal, and we can find out stuff about ourselves by tuning in to our animals, right? That
Yes.
that's why we're talking about our animals, because everybody, well, not everybody, but most people take better care of their fur babies than they do themselves because
Yes.
they put them first, but they are a direct mirror and reflection to us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell
I
us,
agree.
so now
I
you can
agree.
talk to parrots. What happened next?
Well, I was going to say I agree with you because I've worked with an animal and its owner
That's
because the
ideal.
animal is reflecting what's going on with the owner. So yeah, I do
I
agree
mean,
with that.
ideally, if you're called to work with an animal, you want to also work with the owner.
Work with the owner.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The
So
owner
now
might
you,
not like, the owner might not think that.
well,
So you have to really kind of,
that's what I mean. The owners are like, yes, yes, take care of my
yeah,
fur
but
baby. And
did
then the
not,
fur baby is going, by the way, the owner has some
yeah,
issues, but
yes,
it's a
yeah,
nice entryway in. So now you can
yes.
talk to parrots, but you're not an animal communicator yet.
No,
So what happened? What happened next?
well, well, I thought about it because a few years before theta healing, before I trained as a healer, um, I had an experience with a horse. And it's the horse belongs to a friend of mine. I've no experience with horses. I'm a town girl, and I knew the horse, but knew her name was Fire, and I knew Fire from a distance. I never went near her really. I was a little bit fearful. Beautiful animals, but a little bit cautious because they're so big.
Oh,
And I had no experience, so I never went near this horse. But she was a lovely horse. She was 25 years old, and she brought a lot of pleasure to many, many children, many people. Anyway, one day, um, I wanted to read my book. It was a lovely, quiet, relaxing afternoon. I've got nothing to do. My mind is quiet. I want to read my book. So I settled down to read, and I'm halfway through a page when my body is up. No thinking. I'm not thinking I'm going to get up now and go and stand by the window. I'm just up, and I go to the window and I look out, and this horse is lying on the ground, just lying down. So I didn't think anything of it. Went back to my book, and the next moment, a couple of minutes, I'm up again. So now I'm in that zone. That's all I can call it. It's a zone where you are spirit led, where you're doing something and you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just doing it. And it's the right thing to do. And I just know I've gone from the window and I'm halfway down the drive across the cattle grid, and I've walked right up to the horse and she's lying down. And I walk right up to her, and then I see that one of her legs is down a manhole and
oh,
the other three sprayed out flat. So, of course, I run back to the house, tell her owner, he calls the fire brigade, and they came and put a harness under her belly and lifted her out of this manhole, and she
wow.
was okay. But what happened then? I'm not communicating with animals. I'm not taking my consciousness over to an animal. She called me.
Mhm.
Now, why did she call me? Why didn't she call the owner or someone else? Why me? Not because I'm special or anything, but because I had a quiet mind.
Oh,
I was relaxed
well,
with
this is
this with
why
this soft.
everybody tells everybody to meditate all the time. Get
Exactly.
quiet so you can
So
hear
her
the
cry
person.
for help came to me, and I responded. Whereas another time may have heard the cry for help, but not respond because you could easily miss it. If I
Mm-hmm.
had got into conversation or answered the phone or did something, I would have completely missed that. So it made me think of that when
That's
I spoke to the
absolutely
parrot.
amazing. So, why do you think?
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. Sorry, you have so many amazing animal stories. So,
yeah,
why aren't people listening? Like you've just told us about the horse that you were
yeah.
listening, that you had a
Mm,
quiet, okay, they're not listening because their
yes,
mind's quiet. It's filled with, this
yeah,
and scrolling, right? These days, it's even harder
yeah,
to get quiet. But
yes,
besides the quiet thing, why aren't
yes.
people when,
Listen.
yeah,
Um, or why are they not communicating with their animals
all of
telepathically?
the above.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. You know when your animal's hungry, when it needs
Yeah.
food or water or needs to
I
go
mean,
out.
I
All
think
these,
I told you in this pre-call that I had met some people like whose he had a guinea pig in a cage, and his guinea pig had died of thirst with a full water bottle in the cage. And he said it was awful because the guinea pig was squealing and squealing for like a week and kept going to the water. And I kept seeing that the water was full and I didn't know what was wrong. And the guinea pig was telling him that the water had a blockage in it. So the guinea pig died and I couldn't receive, it upset me so much that he had allowed his guinea pig to die when, like, if your guinea pig is crying, you go and check everything. You don't just, you know, so that's not really being tuned in, is it really? And that
Uh,
upset me a lot.
yeah.
So the not
So
trusting.
that's part of it. Not trusting what you're hearing, not trusting what's coming into your mind, and also your belief system. A lot of people, it's their belief system that stops them, and their subconscious belief system. From I can't do it to I'm fear of getting it wrong, or fear of being ridiculed, or
Mhm.
they have a trauma.
A trauma.
They may a trauma.
Mhm.
They may have experienced an animal hurting them.
Oh, right.
They,
Okay. Yeah.
you know,
They could be
yeah,
afraid. Yeah.
afraid,
Hmm.
or they've seen something through the media, through the TV or films, movies, where they've seen something that's traumatized them. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that when we're watching these horror movies, uh, our subconscious doesn't know that it's not real.
Oh, I know. I don't watch I'm anything with violence or anything. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I
yeah,
don't
just
watch any.
yeah. So I mean, classic is the film Jaws. So many people are fearful now of sharks
Oh,
from
yeah.
watching Jaws.
Terrified me to death. Do not
Yes,
want
me
to
too.
swim where there's going to be sharks. No.
Yeah, me too. So if you've seen a film with snakes where they kill
A
people, or
snakes on a plane. Yeah, that was fun.
snakes on a plane, or something, some animal is
Well,
crawling,
every time I use the loo on a
or,
plane, I'm like, there better not be any snakes down there. So,
or birds. Alfred Hitchcock's
oh,
film
of
with
course,
birds.
people are
That's a
all
classic. That's a
you,
classic as
you
well.
see
So
people
there's
freaking out about birds, actually,
yeah.
if they're so. Can you give us an example of how listening to your pets, really listening to them or tuning in, whatever you want to call it, can help you heal? Like, do you have some
Yeah,
stories
well,
about,
uh, uh, can help you heal.
yeah,
Uh,
like I think that we had spoken about a dog with
oh,
some
I was
anxiety.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So I'm thinking differently from you. I was thinking,
Oh, you can say
you
whatever
know
you
how
want.
animals today they recognize that animals can smell your illness.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that.
I mean, that's amazing. And they're
Yeah.
training animals to smell that people's illnesses. So if your dog, I mean, the story that comes to my mind is of the dog who kept putting his nose on his owner's breast and kept wanting to be near, and he was telling her, you've got a problem with your breast.
Yeah.
And she had breast cancer.
Wow.
And of course, when she was diagnosed, then she realized why her dog always wanted to come. She was always having to push him off. But that was him telling her. So that's one way of knowing how your animal can help you. My cat always knows when I'm upset. Always will come and sit and put her body right up against my thigh on the couch, really close, wants to be really close to me when she knows that I'm crying or I'm upset. So
Yeah. I mean,
animals,
you remember Bliss, my
yeah,
my familiar who died a couple of years ago, but because we had a trauma bond, I saved her life emotionally, she saved mine. And so those years I was crying all the time and she used to sit right here and hold space for me when I'd cry. And then
yeah,
many years later, I had a housemate who was in her crying phase of life. I was traveling a lot, so she was taking care of Bliss, and then she's like, Bliss is so sweet. She'll just come and like lay right on me when I'm crying. I'm like, I know she's used to holding space for people. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
Well, she's
So,
wanting to heal you. She's wanting to
yeah,
heal.
well,
But
absolutely.
I know the story that you're thinking of. A
Mhm.
dog called Raj,
Raj
a
is
male
dog.
Raj, a dog, a male dog. And that, okay, I'll tell you that. That was a lady called me, someone gave her my number, and she was concerned because Raj was suffering with separation anxiety. So I
Oh,
have a list of questions to ask her. How does that show itself? What does it look like? What are the symptoms of separation anxiety? What makes you think that? Oh, well, he barks every time I leave the room. He suddenly follows me around the house. Even putting the bins out, he'll be barking at the window, and he never used to. Well, how long have you had him? Is he from a rescue? What kind of discipline? Is he the kind of dog that sleeps on the couch, or does he have his own space? I have
mhm.
1,000 questions. Who else lives in the house? How does he get on with your husband? Anything else that's happened that's unusual? Well, we had a baby, but that was a year ago, and he's been okay. Anything else? Oh, we had a break-in. We found him outside in the garden. The thief that broke in put him out in the garden. But really, no, nothing else has happened in the last few months that's made him suddenly want to not leave my side every time I get up. Okay. Does he have a dog walker? Yes, a friend of ours up the road dog walks him 3 times a week. Okay. Well, let me tell you what I do. I have to meditate, connect with you. I never saw this dog, remember? She lives down south. I didn't have a photo of the dog, just had his name. So I said, I have to meditate, connect with the dog, introduce myself, make sure the dog trusts me, and just listen for messages. I might get it straight away. It might come over a few days. And when I say that, I mean that. I could be washing dishes and a thought would come into my mind, which I know
Interesting.
it's not mine. And I say washing dishes because I can wash dishes with no mind, just
Yeah, it is a meditative practice, isn't it? So,
exactly. It's when you're present. You said to me, what else? Is it just a chatter? It's more about when you are present,
mhm.
in the present moment completely. You're not thinking of the future or the past. You're in the moment.
Yeah,
This is when messages, which is when we're with a client, is what we're doing. We're being completely in the moment.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay, fine. I said, and then I'll report back to you, feedback, anything that I've seen or heard, and then we can make a plan for healing, what we're going to do next. So that's fine. So I connect with Raj and I ask, what's going on with you? Why are you so anxious? What's the problem? And I get an image straight away. And in telepathy, you get images like a picture, which is how they say animals read our thoughts. They see our thoughts as pictures. So the classic is if you've got an animal, a dog who wheezes on the floor and you want him to wee out in the garden, then imagine the dog weeing out in the garden. If you're driving home and you're thinking, oh gosh, I'm going to go home, and the dog will have weed on the floor, he
It
will do
will
because that's
have,
what he's seeing.
right.
You see, because they see our thoughts as pictures and pictures. So
Oh,
anyway, I got this picture, and it was the dog being grabbed by a pair of male hands, and the dog bit the man's hand, and in anger and a rage, this man threw the dog out into the garden, and and there were 2 men. They ransacked the house while
oh, this
most
was
of
a
the kids.
thief when they were burgled.
Yeah, that was the picture, and it happens really fast. It's like a film. It happens very fast. I saw that they just made a mess in the house, and then I asked him about his how do you get on with the owner's husband? Fine, okay. And how are you happy with the baby? No problem. What about the dog walker? How do you get on with the dog walker? The dog walker is very unsteady on her feet And I get anxious when I go out for a walk because she's unsteady on her feet and she's anxious. The dog tells me this.
So, yes. So I
And
guess
then
what I want to know is how are you receiving all of this information? Like in
I
a
can hear it in words,
conversation?
I
Okay.
see it in pictures, and
Okay.
and it's a knowing.
Right.
It's a
I know
knowing.
what that means. Can you explain it for somebody who wouldn't know what that means? What
Yeah,
that is?
it's a knowing.
Yeah.
Um, how to explain that? It's a
How do you
knowing.
explain a knowing? It's like, well,
Interesting. I had a conversation yesterday with a neighbor of mine, and he said that he's a real atheist. He does not believe and does not disbelieve. He has to have evidence. It's
right.
not that he doesn't believe me, it's just because he hasn't experienced it,
Mhm.
he doesn't believe that there's a God.
A
Let's
knowing
say
is almost like you have experienced it
you
because you know it
and
to be
you know
true.
it. You
Yeah,
know it to be
I
true.
do.
It's a
Thank you
knowing.
for saying that. Yes.
Yeah,
I think between us, we got there.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. So it's a knowing, it's a hearing and a seeing images. And then Raj tells me that he gets very upset when he sees his owner crying. And she cries every night. And she rows with her husband. And now they're talking about getting a divorce. And if they get a divorce, where am I going to live?
Wow. See, now the owner didn't tell you she was crying
No,
every night
no,
and going to divorce and right.
that all came
Yeah.
from Raj. And now I've got to feed that back to her. I mean, I could
You
get this
didn't ask,
terribly wrong.
but you did.
You could
Right.
get this, but I trust.
Yeah. So did she
I
receive?
trust she received it very well. So I have to say, look, this is what I heard. And she said the dog walker is in her late 70s and has just had major surgery. So she is unsteady on her feet. And yes, we are rowing every night. And she gets upset and she ends up crying. So then I said, well, would you like to work with the issue between you and your husband, the problem?
Yeah.
And she said, yes, fortunately. So we went into theta healing to find what the issue was. And the issue was not her husband. The issue was something that was unspoken about, an unexpressed issue that she had with her father about something that happened when she was about 14, 15. But the rows with the husband was triggering
Mm-hmm.
whatever was going on, was triggering that. And she was taking it out on her husband. And when all this was revealed and we were able to clear it, it helped her relationship with her husband. And that all came from Raj.
And then in turn, it helped the dog. I mean, that's
Helped the
just
dog.
amazing. So you not only helped the dog, but you helped the woman heal her relationship with
Yes.
her husband and
Yeah.
avoid a divorce and heal a childhood trauma that she'd been holding her whole life.
Yes. I know.
Amazing. That's
I know.
amazing.
I know.
So, thank you for sharing that. I could talk to you all day. Well, I often do. What are some other stories or experiences that you've learned from your communication with animals? I particularly want you to talk about the pony.
Do you?
Yeah, with the tail. Yeah.
I wanted to give you a funny one.
Oh,
I'll
okay. You
talk.
can tell
I'll
the pony.
talk about the pony, but I'll give you a funny one as well because
Okay,
it's a quick one.
because we have
So this
about
is
23 minutes left.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And so very quickly, I want to tell you about Phoenix, the horse, whose owner is a horse whisperer herself,
Mm.
and she's become a horse whisperer from doing one of my courses.
Oh,
And she
cool.
thrills me. But before she did the course, she used to turn to me and say, "What's wrong with my horse?" Okay. And on this day, she said, my horse has got a lot of tension in her body. Could you work out what's wrong? So I asked Phoenix, what are you tense about? And I heard Rosie gets on my nerves. I didn't know who Rosie was. And I said to Hannah, who's Rosie? Because she says Rosie gets on her nerves. Rosie was the pony that she was sharing the barn with. And she said, yesterday I thought I should separate these two. I said, there you go. Phoenix is telling you and you're not listening.
Wow.
Too frisky. Rosie was very young and very frisky. So you want me to tell you about Seren, the pony?
I do, but before you do that, I mean, Lorena, I don't think you're teaching anymore.
No, I'm writing my book.
Lorena is writing a book about
Uh,
animal telepathy. Is that what it's called? Animal telepathy?
yes.
Yeah. And so she's not teaching anything. And so if you want to contact Lorena because you have the odd question for her or something like that, you can email her. What's your email,
Yes.
please?
What's
Tell
my
me.
email?
Yeah.
It's my name, Lorena Granata. The number 3 at gmail.com.
Lorena Granata 3@gmail.com. If you want to work
Yes.
with me or want to talk to me about anything, shannonbtb.com or shannonoflaherty.com. I went on your animal communication course a number of years ago, and I remember I was really intimidated. And you gave
Oh,
us,
yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah, out of your comfort zone, and I didn't want to be wrong, right? Because I do this kind of work. And no pressure. And so you gave us all like a photograph of an animal that you knew what was wrong with all the animals. And I got a horse and I was like, okay. And I went into the horse and I just got like all itchy. And I thought, oh, I'm getting like all itchy and the horse is itchy down one side. And you're like, very good. I was like, very good. And you're like, yeah, yeah, because the owner had eczema or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's absolutely cool. So it's
Brilliant.
really, I mean, the more you practice, the more
Yeah.
specific and succinct you can be. Yeah.
I know. Well, this is what my book's about because it literally is a step-by-step guide
Hmm.
around what your belief system's about, finding what it is, how to clear it, and then to practice what I'm telling you to do, and then you know you'll become an animal communicator. Absolutely, and I
Yeah.
think everybody should be. I
Yeah.
really do believe that until everybody's communicating with the animal kingdom. How often do you hear me say this? We're never going to get peace on earth. We have to honor our brothers and sisters.
Conflict. Yeah.
Pardon?
There's always going to be conflict. The shamans say that too. There will be
Yes,
a new peacefulness, but there will always be conflict on the planet. It's almost like yin and yang, light and
yeah,
dark kind
yes.
of goes together. Yeah. So can you tell us a story about the
So
pony?
maybe I shouldn't say that anymore then. So what are you saying? I
No, let's
shouldn't
not say
say
that anymore. There's
that.
always
Only
peace, peace,
peace.
peace, peace.
Well,
Let's
more
manifest
peace then,
peace
more
here on
peace.
this call. We're bringing peace to the entire planet.
Okay.
How
So you
about
want me to tell you about Seren?
the
Seren,
the
the
tail?
pony.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
shocking, isn't it? The tail.
yeah.
So again, my friend Hannah, who works with horses, asked, phoned me and said, I've been working with the horse for a few weeks, but there's a trauma there. Can you see what it is? So I communicate with this little pony, and the image I get is of someone cutting her tail off and slicing her skin with a razor. I said, this is the trauma. So Hannah goes back to Seren's um, owner and tells her what I've said. And the owner said that she wants to see me. So I go and meet the owner. Her name's Ursula, the owner, and my friend Hannah and Ursula's daughter, granddaughter. They're all waiting for me in a field in the middle of North Wales, freezing cold night. And we went. It's dark. It's about 6:30, 7 o'clock, but it's dark. So I go into this field, and there's this beautiful pure white pony. It's like a unicorn, except for the horn. No, she was just
Missing the horn.
yeah, missing the horn. So I met these ladies, and they don't speak to me. They're like, hi, and they're talking amongst themselves. So I go, take myself off to one side near the hedge and connected with Sarah. And I said, is there something you want to tell me? And I heard my mother was killed in a road accident. So I said, okay, now I'm going to have to go back to her owner and tell her this. And I mean, is she going to believe me? Because I could be saying anything.
Well,
How am I going to make her understand that this is coming from her horse? I don't know anything about Sarah, and I've not been near her. I've stood away from her. Don't know anything about Ursula. They've hardly spoke. They've said hello to me. That's about it. Don't know anything about the women's, but I go back to them and I said, I just want to ask you, do you know about muscle testing? And
mm-hmm.
so I explained to her how muscle testing works. I demonstrated on her and got her to a place where she trusted her own muscle testing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I said, and now I'm going to tell you something that Sharon's told me. And in your subconscious, you'll know this to be
Mm-hmm.
true or not. So let's just repeat after me. My mother was killed in a road accident. This lady, bless her, burst out crying. She
Oh,
doubled over like I'd just punched her in the tummy. She just doubled over. She said, I know this. I knew it. I knew it. Because in her subconscious, she did. You see, the whole horse had told her, but she just didn't know how to listen. And then she opened up and said, we bought her from the market, from a lady in the market who'd only had her for a month. We bought her 2 years ago. We've never been able to put a blanket on her. No one's been able to ride her. Hannah's done a lot of good work, but look, you can stroke her down the right side, but if you try to stroke her down the left-hand side, look what happens. And she went to stroke the pony, and the pony just backed off, you know. So we said, okay, so this is where she's holding the trauma on her left side. So we all just stood near the horse, and I went up and asked for the trauma to be released, for the memory of the mother to be released, the trauma of the memory of the trauma, not the mother, the memory of the trauma. Just did the healing I could do. And then I said to Ursula, now I'd like you to try now to stroke her. No problem. Put a
wow.
blanket on her. No problem. And then the pony comes and put her nose in my hand.
Wow.
Say, thank you. She just came up to me and put her nose in my.
I mean, it's so amazing because if you're a horse person or, and you're in touch with your creature, if you can't figure out what's wrong and you're like, well, not that you're taking it personally exactly, but you might think like it's something that I'm doing wrong, or, you might have self-doubt about that. But when you can go in and actually find out what the problem is. So,
Yes.
that's absolutely fascinating. I love your stories. You have so many amazing animal stories, but what I'd really like now, if you could take a little bit of time to take our listening and viewing audience up to connect with their animal or an animal or whatever, a sort of little mini process just so people can have an experience. Do you want to preface this with something to people to prepare them,
Yeah.
to help
I
them get
forgot.
out of their
I
own way?
forgot you asked me to do this. I was going to write
Yeah.
it down. I
So you're
forgot.
going to
So
wing
I'm
it
going to have
now.
to just wing it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, viewers. I meant to
Putting
prepare this
Lorena
so I
on the spot.
could read it to you, but I haven't. So here we go.
So, okay,
So
I'm going to pick
make
my cat.
yourselves comfortable, preferably sitting up straight.
Mhm.
And just take a moment now to relax your body. Just check for a moment where the tension is in your body. Taking a deep breath through the nose and release through the mouth. Always thinking, breathe in peace and release tension. Lower your shoulders, soften your tummy, allow your face to soften. Yeah. And take another deep breath in and release and allow the tension to release. Cool. And taking your awareness, your consciousness down to your feet, and feel the ground beneath you, knowing that you are supported by the earth. And take your consciousness through your feet and deep into the earth, wrapping yourself around a crystal or around tree roots, knowing that you are grounded, you are supported, and you are safe. The energy from the earth is always there, but now with intention, you're bringing it up to fill your body with Mother Earth's healing energy. And at the same time, healing energies coming in from above through the crown, through your crown chakra, and filling your body with light. And as you do that, you'll feel more relaxed, deeper within, and you'll feel lighter. Now I'd like you to just gently bring your awareness up to your third eye, to your forehead. And sitting there, you're going to visualize your furry animal, your dog, your cat, your horse, that's living with you, that's left you, maybe be living somewhere else, that maybe is passed over. Doesn't matter. Just see them there and connect with them. And it's so easy to do, to take your consciousness over to that animal and just simply say, is there anything you want to tell me? And wait. And make a note of what you're feeling, hearing, or seeing. Now gently bringing your awareness back to your body, back to your feet, feeling grounded. And when you're ready, open your eyes. You may even want to write down. You might want to write down what you've seen or heard. Just give you a moment to do that, to bring yourself back into the room.
Thank you. That was really interesting. I thought I was going to connect with Ghost, my current cat who's outside. But when I went to connect with my cat, I saw Bliss, who was my familiar, like my soulmate cat, who lived until 18 and a half years old. I found her as a kitten, about 5 weeks old, about to die. And she was sitting there, a younger version of herself, really cute, like just kind of looking around like this. And I said, is there anything you want to tell me? And she said, I don't like that cat in my space.
Oh no, she doesn't like ghosts.
Doesn't like ghosts in her space. And I have a little pillow
I
of
can see us.
Bliss would rip her to shreds if she was here. But I have a little pillow of Bliss, a photograph of Bliss, but on a pillow, so it looks like the cat. And she's on the pillow next to me. And I'm always telling Ghost, I'm like, just don't forget, she's the queen. She was here first. And probably Bliss likes being the queen. So I'll let her know that, you know,
Oh, she'll always be the queen.
she'll
That's so funny because Bliss would hate her being there. Yes.
hated that. Yeah.
Gosh, great message.
Sorry, Bliss.
Well,
I
she
was never
needs
going to get another cat after Bliss, but
yeah,
I believed in 3 months I couldn't live without a cat.
yeah. So if you when you do connect, if it was me now and she'd just give me that message, I'd be reassuring her that she's loved and she's still the
Yeah.
queen.
I was
And that's
telling her, I was like, well, you know that I kiss you goodnight every night
yeah.
first too, you know. And she's like, that's probably why she was so cute. She just wanted to tell me she wasn't vicious about it.
Yeah. Well, it'd be
Um,
wonderful if any of your viewers received a good message and they want to share it with you, Shannon, they could let you know, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
Or, write to Lorena and share it with Lorena,
Um,
because she'll tell me, and that's wonderful, because maybe Lorena can put your experience of connecting with your thing in her book as another
yeah,
experience of animal
yes, yes.
telepathy. Um, let's see, real quick, if you could tell another real quick story in like 3 minutes.
Oh,
What about
okay. No,
um,
no, I'll tell you. So I'll go back to Phoenix, the horse. Okay,
okay.
now this is an interesting one because I'm not connecting with her and asking her any questions. I was just stood by the stable talking to her owner, just chatting. And the Phoenix comes right up to me and stood in front of me. So I can't ignore her. And I just said, oh, in my
That's
mind, is there something you want to tell me? And I got a picture of a horse lying down on the grass, and a foal stood next to her. And I know instantly the horse is her mother. Okay. And she's the baby, she's the foal. So I
oh.
turned to her owner and said, and I get a message. The message was, I've had 19 owners. I'm like, what? This doesn't make sense. But that's what I received. So I said to the owner, did Phoenix die? Phoenix's mother die in childbirth? And she said, no, she died when she was 2 months old.
Mm.
Okay. That was my interpretation. You see, no one said that's where I got that was my interpretation. Oh, it must have been childbirth, but it wasn't. She was 2 months old. I said, well, why is she telling me she had 19 owners? That doesn't make sense. The mother had 19 owners.
Oh, wow.
Okay, not Phoenix. And I said, wow. So I released that trauma, that memory that she had. But the point of me telling you this story is that that's not me looking to communicate with the animal. It's the animal coming to me.
Again,
The
yeah.
animal knows they know who they can talk to.
And
Does that make
animals
sense?
grieve too. So
Absolutely.
if
Which
if
is which is why they showed Phoenix as a baby, the foal, showed her mother dead, because the animal needs to know what's happened to mum. So that's what they do. They show the foal, mum's died, so the animal knows. Otherwise, what would happen? The mother would just suddenly disappear.
That's really interesting, because, in
Yeah.
fact, also why I invited you to talk on this show is because when I was interviewing someone else, I remembered, because Bliss was a trauma bond cat. She nearly died. She had a terrible traumatic birth. And Ghost, my current cat, her mother had an emergency C-section to birth Ghost. And I
Right.
think the mother didn't know that she had given birth, because she was taken out, and then she tried to drown Ghost in the water dish all the time. So Ghost was taken away from her mother for the first 11 days and hand reared until the cat's milk came
Oh,
in, and then
yeah.
they reintroduced Ghost with the mother, and then they had a bit of bonding. The mother was adopted the day before I adopted Ghost, but I think it's because the mother didn't know that she had given birth somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
And
Ghost
she had the trauma,
doesn't
just the
like to
trauma of
be,
yeah,
yeah,
just the
Ghost doesn't
trauma
like to
of the
be picked
surgery.
up or held, and probably because of all of that birth imprint stuff
Yeah.
going on with her as a little kitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And the cats just experienced a surgery. That's a trauma, just that. Having cesarean, that was traumatic.
and what about you say that your your dog in spirit comes to you?
Um, he does. Sam, he's a German Shepherd, my best friend. And when I'm working with an animal who's about to pass over, I'll get a picture of Sam playing with the animal in a field. And I've learned that that's the message I get to tell me this dog or cat is about to pass over.
Wow. And
Yeah.
do you share that information with the owner?
Yes, because then it helps the owner. If
Prepare.
I'm very discreet and very
Well, I know.
empathic, I don't just say, hey, guess what? Your dog's about to pass over. Not quite like that. But I
Mhm.
will help them to start coming to terms with you're going to lose your animal, because it's big trauma.
Because, and do you think that like when a person's dying, they're going through a dying process, they're going through a transition process to the next phase,
Yes.
and animals are doing the same thing,
Yes.
right? So if you know that your animal is transitioning,
Then
you
can
can
say
help
goodbye.
in that process too. It's not just about the person saying
Absolutely.
goodbye, but you can help the animal transition.
Yes, absolutely. I
Great.
believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely amazing. So tell everybody your email again in case they want to
Oh,
tell you
thank you.
amazing experience.
Well, it's my name, Lorena Granata, the number 3, because I've got 3 kids. And now
Okay.
I've got 3 grandchildren, and 3 is my favorite number. So number 3 at gmail.com.
Lorena Granata 3 at gmail.com. And I'm on shannonbtb.com or shannonoflaherty.com. And
Yeah.
just to wrap up this very fascinating conversation with you, and I've heard many of these stories before, but every time I'm like, wow, that's amazing. It's just amazing. There's so many more. Lorena's book is going
Yeah.
to be amazing when that comes out. Um, give our audience a closing message. If they could just take one thing from today's conversation, what would you like them to know?
To believe in themselves and trust what they're seeing, what they're hearing. Yeah, trust it.
Yeah,
To believe that they can do it. It's a normal, natural thing for us to be
yeah.
able to do. Yeah.
And it's crucially important that we listen
Yeah.
to our animals, and not just our animals, but animals in the wild too,
Yes.
because they all
Yes.
have something to say to all of us. So,
Oh, we never touched on power animals.
power
Let's,
animals, I think that's
let's,
going to have to be another show. You can see my power animal there. Well, that's one of them.
yeah.
That's some more of them. One friend said in my house, you have a veritable zoo.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because I have so many animales, photographs, paintings, drawings, little things of animals everywhere. Yeah, power animals. That's another whole subject. But I love that idea as a show too. So,
I
um,
touch on that in my book about power animals. Yeah.
yeah. And of course, because even if an animal just crosses your path, it has a message for you. So you can Google spirit animals, totem animals, what animals
Yes.
mean in a dream. I mean, they have messages for us all the time. It's really very,
Yeah.
very fascinating. Take
Yes.
from it
Yeah.
what you need. Lorena, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being my very
Thank
fascinating,
you.
knowledgeable healing wisdom guest today. It's always a
Thank you.
joy to speak with you. And remember, anybody, you can email her, Lorena Granata 3 on gmail.com. And when her book comes out, I will be posting that everywhere on my social
Oh,
media. So
lovely.
much
Thank
love to you and all. Thank you. You have been listening to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with Shannon O'Flaherty on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we connect the dots between your ancestors, your birth, and the patterns that keep you stuck, guiding you to a place of profound healing and unstoppable brilliance. By examining and healing your cellular imprint from birth of how you perceive and respond to the world and the challenges that are created in your day-to-day life, we can begin to heal and live more balanced and fulfilling lives. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.